All right. Let me start by defending the young. There are a lot of people who would like to disregard child activists like Greta Thunberg on the basis of her age. Why should we listen to her? She's just a kid. She doesn't have any life experience. And I disagree with that completely. A lot of left-wing types like to point out the infamous Soph. If people take her seriously, then why should Greta Thunberg's opinions be discounted? And the funny thing is, that point is valid. If I say that Greta is too young to take seriously, then so is Soph. And I certainly appreciate some of Soph's material.
It's nice to see a smart kid for a change.
All right, maybe that won't do it for you. Okay, here's one better. Malala Yousafzai. Malala is something like 22 years old now. But when she was a big noise, she was only a teenager. The world took her seriously then, so did I. And granted, she was tough enough to take a bullet and keep on her course, making her something special. But the point stands. Malala's age did not discount her from activism. Neither does Soph's. Neither does Greta's. And outside of any political consideration, there are youngsters in my own life, and I listen to them, I take their worldviews seriously as well. I will not let their youth stand in the way. A person's youth is relevant to their worldview, and so it must be taken into account. But truth is truth, no matter who says it, even if they are young. Having said all that, I do not take Greta Thunberg seriously at all. It's not because she's young, but it's because she's ridiculous. She deals in climate alarmism. She indulges in the popular kind of apocalyptic doomsday scenarios that demand obedience. The world is running out of time, and if we don't follow her advice, then there won't even be a future. Besides that, Greta doesn't act like a responsible young woman with an important mission. She acts like a spoiled brat throwing a tantrum.
You all come to us young people for hope. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood.
You've stolen my dreams away.
But, as I've said, there are particular young voices I will listen to. One thing I won't do is listen to a crowd of them. I am horrified at this tactic of using the young to advance social causes, and they are being used. It's bad enough that the politically correct are warping the minds of young adults in universities and turning them into social soldiers. Now they want to turn the entire younger generation into the front line of their movement, and it's a perversion of the natural order. Some people think that young people are more liberal and that they become more conservative as they age. I understand why people come to that conclusion, but it's not accurate. Young people and kids are not liberal or left-wing by nature. What they are is rebellious. It is the role and even the responsibility of the youth to challenge the preconceptions of previous generations. That's the way it is. That's the way it should be. The younger generation is supposed to be flappers, beatniks, hippies, and goths. They are supposed to create countercultures.
What do you want to do with your life? I want to rock.
That was us. And that was every generation. It wasn't always rock, but it was always a resistance to authority. The youth are supposed to struggle to determine their own views and to do what they want with their lives instead of having it imposed on them. But today's generation isn't like that. We're seeing a generation of establishment youth. It's terrifying. Kids have been sold on paranoia. If they don't protest and join the establishment movement, then they will be shot in school and pollution will bring the world to an end. Fear is used to keep the kids in line. The politically correct are corrupting an entire generation, turning them into pawns. They do this with the promise that the young are leading the way. Nothing could be further from the truth. These mobs of anonymous kids are political shields used to deflect the intellectual ammunition of the opposition. Or to put it another way, the youth movement are the stormtroopers. And stormtroopers are not leaders. They are tools, expendable tools at that. Their path is chosen for them. In some cases, the youth protests are school-sanctioned. And does anyone really believe that these massive events are organized by the kids? Kids are told that they are speaking truth to power. And it may be that these kids are taking on power, but they aren't doing it on behalf of the powerless. They are simply serving a different sect of the powerful, another aspect of the establishment. And the so-called leaders of these movements, like Greta Thunberg and David Hogg, they're not defiant rebels acting against the establishment. You want proof? Look at Greta's famous speech. She was invited to the UN. Invited! People see her raging there, and they think that gives the appearance of a fierce warrior who shakes her fist at our world leaders. But you can't take a seat in a United Nations building and read a prepared speech into a microphone if they don't allow it. The UN wanted her there. She's not resisting them. She is serving them, even if she doesn't know it. She is a part of their scheme, and it should be obvious what that scheme is.
You have sparked the interest of millions, literally, of children around the globe.
She is a figurehead, used to lure more kids and young adults to this chosen cause. That is as establishment as it gets. David Hogg received similar treatment and protection. For a while, YouTube, establishment YouTube, censored countless videos that dared to criticize Hogg. A lot of people were even afraid to say his name in a video. Soph didn't get that protection. That kid, that genuine rebel, was kicked off of YouTube permanently. And Malala? She struggled against real oppression in Pakistan. And not to mention that little incident when she was shot in the head. Now, it may be that my concern is overstated. I have heard that Generation Z is more conservative than the previous generation. And if it's true, it's exactly what I want to hear. It's not that I want them to be more conservative. I really don't care one way or the other about that. But that's not really what's happening. What it tells me is that there really may be a sizable portion of the young generation that are willing to rebel against the values that they are being sold. And to the youth, it's not that I don't want you to be activists or to take part in protests, but make it a part of the overall protest at least. Don't let them lure you into youth movements. Nothing good can come from that. If you're not a part of the movement as a whole, then you're not a part of the movement at all. Instead, you would become a tool used by the movement. If there are any young people listening to this, then take this advice. It is important, now more than ever, for you to be the rebels that you're supposed to be. Because right now the world wants you to surrender yourselves to a cause. The simplest act of rebellion right now is for you to enjoy your youth. And you should, because you won't always have it.